Lesson 862, Wingspan, Plotting Data. In this lesson, we'll compare and contrast a dot plot and a scatter plot representing the same data. And we'll create a scatter plot from a table of data. All right, in your notebook, we're on page 67. And like we just said, we're going to compare and contrast two different ways. To display data. Different displays give us different information. And the two things we're going to be looking at are dot plots and scatter plots. And we're also going to draw a scatter plot to represent data. So representing data with a scatter plot is different from ways that we've represented data before, because we're going to be throwing a lot of information onto a graph and just looking for relationships that we might be able to fit a line to, but it might not be perfectly linear. So just like in class today where you measured your wingspan and your height, a teacher asked her students how many hours of sleep they had the night before a test and the score that they got on the test. So just like we did in class today where we gathered two pieces of information, we have this teacher gathering two pieces of information. And if we express the results in a dot plot, we can see how many hours each student slept, or we can see what the students got for scores on their test. But I don't know which of these dots matches up to which of these dots. I don't know which students go with what. But I can tell some information about how much sleep students get, or I can tell I can tell some information about the scores that these students are tending to get. But if I want to see the relationship between these two things, if I want to see whether sleeping helps your test scores, then I can plot both pieces of information on the same graph with just two axes that are connected. And you can see in this scatter plot, each student is represented by one dot. So I know which student got 4 hours of sleep and the score that that student got. So the thing that's different about the two ways of representing the data is that the dot plot, only one variable is represented on each plot. And that's great if I just want to know about that one variable. But if I want to know whether one affects the other one, whether there's a relationship between them, then a scatter plot might be better for us. Shows both variables, shows the relationship between both variables. And sometimes there's not a relationship, but if there are, a scatter plot helps to see it. Shows relationships between two variables. And it looks to me like the relationship is the more you sleep, the better your test score is. If you don't get a lot of sleep, then it's hard to focus. Let's scooch on down here and look at another set of data. Here it says, 1 week, an ice cream stand collected data on the temperature and the number of customers. So once again, we're gathering two pieces of information. There's two variables here. And we can create a scatter plot of the data to see if there's any relationship between how warm it is outside and how many people come to get ice cream. I think there would be a relationship, but let's see if the data shows that. So we have one axis for the temperature and one axis for the number of customers from this raw data over here. So here's the data in no particular order. And just to show that each row is represented by a dot, let me call the dots a different color. So on Monday, the temperature was 85 degrees. Let me come up here to 85 for the temperature, right about here. And the number of customers was 58. I'm going to have to estimate a little bit. I'm going to say it's right about there. So that one dot represents two pieces of information. Let's go on to Tuesday here. We'll do that one in pink. On Tuesday, the temperature was 83 degrees, right about here. And there were 55 customers. It's going to be easy right there. Let's do the same for Wednesday. The temperature was 90 degrees, and there were 63 customers. Again, I'm going to estimate right about there. On Thursday, it was 75 degrees, and there were 50 customers. So 75 is right between 74 and 76. And there were 50 customers. And finally, on Friday, the temperature was 85 degrees, and there were 72 customers. So 85 for the degrees and 72 for the customers. It was a good day. I'm going to say it's right about there. Hope we can see that yellow on screen there. I'll circle it. There it is. So that seems like an outlier there, but in general, it seems like the warmer it is, the more people come and buy ice cream. So it's not a straight line, but I can see that there's a relationship. So just to summarize, scatter plots allow us to investigate possible connections between two numerical variables. You're asked to explain what the sentence means in your own words. Well, let's just restate it. Scatter plots help us to see possible relationships between two variables that involve counting or numbers. It has to do something with numbers so that we could have a measuring scale there. So that's scatter plots and dot plots, two ways that we can represent data, each with their own benefits, but scatter plots help us to see relationships between two variables if there are some.